Hi guys, welcome back. Shirakesh, welcome to my YouTube channel. In last video, we had discussed about how to call API with service. Now let's move on user interface. Now here you can see the data is displaying and this data is coming from service. So in this video, we will see how we can display this data on user interface, right? So this data is displaying on only console, but we can display data on user interface, and this is the advantage of Angular. And now let's move on. Now here you can see we have already created service, and this is the advantage of service. So once we create service, we can use any component, right? So I want to use on my store component. We have already create component, my store component. So now let's move on my store.component.ts, right? So I will just import. First of all, we have to import service. So let's import service and user service, and we will just write here user service, and after that let's use a constructor, and inside this constructor I will just set a private access modifier, private, and I will just create an instance of this service. Let's say you can write any name. Let's say store, right? And this store I will just use user service, and after that let's use this store, and I will just use display data because we have already create one method display data. Now here you can see user.service.ts display data. Inside this data it will return get method, right? And we will also we have also pass this URL inside this get method. And let's move on app.component my store.component.ts, and I will just use this method, and after that I will subscribe and data. I will just use here arrow function, and after that console dot log, and just console of this data, right? And one thing here, I want to display this data on console, right? So first of all, now here you can see there are multiple data. Here you can see 200 data is available. So we have to use for loop, ng for loop. We had already discussed in previous lecture what is ng for loop. You can see in previous lecture. So let's create one array, right? So we can use here, let's say data array. You can write any name, data array, right? And I will just use any data types. It will accept all data types, and I will just call this data array, and I will assign this data, right? And after that I will just create a table because I want to display this data in table, right? So let's create a table. Yes, sorry, let's create table, table, table head. Inside this table I will just use table row and table data. So one thing here, now let's check here you can see if I talk about there are four data available in this API. First is completed, second is ID, and third is title, and fourth is user ID, right? So we will also display this data on user interface. So first of all, let's display ID, right? So I'll just write here table data ID, and I will copy this, copy, and user ID, and third is let's say title, right? And fourth one is completed, right? And after that I will just use table body, right? Inside this table body I'll just use table row, table data, right? And one two. So inside this table row I will just use a ng for loop, right? So first of all we have to use asterisk symbol, ng for, and after that let's use let variable, and here we will write any name, let's say item of array name. So what is my array name? Data array. So let's copy this array name and let's paste on, say, inside this ng for loop, right? And we will use string interpolation, right? It is just like a data binding. It will bind data from HTML to TSFL, right? And let's use, first of all let's use item dot id, right? So let me check data is displaying or not displaying. So now here, okay, let's data is displaying but table is not looking good. Let's use here class, table class, so table, and let's we can use style on table head, let's say background color, and use say rosy color. Rosy brown color, right? Let's save this file. Now let's move on. Now this is looking very good, and now here you can see id is displaying, right? And second is user id, and third is title, and fourth is completed. Now let's use another data. I will just copy this, paste and paste, because we have four data in this API. And second is user ID, right? User ID, and the third is title, right? Title, title, and fourth one is, last is completed, right? Let's save this file. Now let's move on user interface. Now here you can see, so data is displaying on user interface. You can check from console, right? First is id, second is user id, third is title, and fourth one, for the last is completed. So you can check, you can match this data from console to user interface. So this is a very simple way how we can display data, how we can this API data on user interface. So this is a very simple way, right? So in, so thank you so much, thanks for watching this video. In next lecture we will see what is modules, right? So thank you so much, thanks for watching this video. If you have any questions if you have any suggestion, so please put on my comment box. Thank you so much. Thanks for watching this video. Thanks.